You are watching the news on the hour brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN Television. I am Mzubechi Frank. You are welcome. Christians have been advised to hold on to the Word of God so as to overcome the challenges that come their way. An evangelist who spoke with our ACNN news crew gave this advice, where he challenged all Christians in the race to hold on to Christ for who he or she wants to become in the future.
I want to generally advise every Christian out there that being a Christian is a double task, because it looks like we are the one the devil is looking after. But with God on our side, we can actually overcome generally. So I want to give a general advice that we need to hold on to the Word of God, which is actually the strong hold as a Christian that we have to look up to strengthen us in the days where we are weak. The devil does not have strength or more power more than the children of God, but it's the only children of God that slacks behind that the devil can overcome. So I want to say generally that every Christian should buckle up and move on and hold up to the light of Christ. And I'm sure by so doing, we're going to get better as a Christian. The Christianity race is not a small race, but it's also easy with Christ on our side. So with God, all things are possible. So I encourage everybody to look up to God and hold on to God for who he or she wants to become in the nearest future.
President Muhammadu Buhari has called for more tolerance, vigilance and heightened security in countries to ensure safety of citizens, noting that competition heralded by globalization, especially with ease in migration, will only get more intense for businesses. He made this known in Pretoria, South Africa, while responding to questions during a press conference at the Union Building, alongside his host, President Cyril Ramaphosa. The president told Nigerians living in various parts of the world, especially in South Africa, to adhere with the laws of the country they reside and ensure compliance with market laws. In his remark, President Ramaphosa said the attacks on foreigners in South Africa, including Nigerians, were regrettable, assuring that his government would work hard to see an end to such attacks, and equally condemned reprisal attacks in Nigeria. Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, and South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Dr. Naledi Pandor, signed agreement on the minutes of the 9th session of Binational Commission. President Muhammadu Buhari and his South African counterpart, again Cyril Ramaphosa, have agreed to set up a committee to address the issue of compensation to victims of xenophobic attacks in South Africa. It was also gathered that South Africa was yet to agree to Nigeria's request for payment of compensation to victims of xenophobic attacks. One of Nigeria's positions was that compensation must be paid to victims of the violent attacks and part of the measures to stem the incessant attacks on foreign nationals by South African youths. Though the issue of compensation was not mentioned in the joint communique issued at the end of the meeting between both presidents, it was however learnt that President Buhari raised the issue, and it was agreed that a committee be set up to address it. In the communique, both leaders condemned the violent incidents and the destruction of property and reiterated their call for heightened law enforcement. They also stressed the importance of high-level engagements on the unfortunate phenomenon as demonstrated by the reciprocal dispatch of special envoys by both countries. Consequently, the two presidents endorsed the establishment of an early warning mechanism and directed the two foreign ministers to give practical expression to the early warning mechanism to be used as preventive and monitoring platform. The Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Colonel Hamid Ali, has said that 90% of cars in Nigeria were smuggled into the country by unscrupulous elements. Ali, who said this while addressing newsmen in Abuja, alleged that many vehicles on display for sale in auto shops across the country were also smuggled. He explained that the recent raids of the various car dealers' spots in some parts of the country were to ascertain whether the vehicles were brought in genuinely or not. According to him, the country needs revenue for development, hence it became necessary to collect duties on those smuggled vehicles. House of Representatives has resolved to probe all the roads constructed by the federal government across the country from 2007 till date. The decision followed the passage of a motion by Musa Bagus titled Motion on the Daily Death of Nigerians as a result of bad roads in Nigeria on the matters of urgent public importance at the plenary. The House mandated the Richard Olufemi-led Committee on Federal Roads Maintenance Agency (FERMA) to investigate all roads constructed by the federal government since 2007 till date and report to the House within few weeks for further legislative action. The House urged the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Works and Federal Road Maintenance Agency (FERMA) to include the construction and rehabilitation of the bad roads in the country in the priority list for the 2020 budget. A former federal permanent secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Productivity, Clement Iloho, has been sentenced to 5 years in jail over 14.1 million naira Shopee fraud. The sentence was passed by Justice Oluwatoyin Taiwo of the Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos. Onubogo was docked by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) on a 3-count charge bordering on stealing by conversion of property to the tune of over 14.1 million naira. The former permanent secretary, who was responsible for supervising numerous programs such as the Subsidy Reinvestment and Empowerment Program (SHOPE), allegedly awarded fixtures contracts to himself using his personal company and friends. The prosecution counsel Rotimi Oyedepo, while adopting his final written address in June, told the court that the defendant had committed an offense contrary to sections 276 subsection 1b and section 285 subsection 6 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2011 and therefore must face the justice. We shall now go on a short commercial break. News on the hour continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Then join me, Angela Weze, on Health Watch every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. with repeat broadcasts on Thursday at 2 p.m. and Saturday at 1:30 p.m. as health experts provide answers to your questions on how to remain healthy physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually here on Anglican Cable Network Nigeria. God bless you.
You are welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international news. The US-based Episcopal Church condemned the Trump administration's decision announced last week to further slash the number of refugees to be resettled in the United States to a historic low of just 18,000, a move that threatens to cripple the ability of Episcopal migration ministries and other agencies to maintain the United States' decades-old policy of welcoming those in need from around the world. According to the church, reducing the cap on refugees by nearly half from 30,000 in the current fiscal year, far below the 95,000 average over the program's 40 years, will further dismantle the refugee resettlement program. In the statement, church leaders also strongly condemned the decision to allow states and localities to reject refugees on the same day that his administration announced it was slashing the resettlement program. President Donald Trump issued an executive order that directed the federal government to resettle refugees only in those jurisdictions in which both the states and local governments have consented to receive refugees. The changes to the refugees resettlement program are the latest developments in the Trump administration's ongoing efforts to limit and reduce both legal and illegal migration into the United States, a policy platform that was a central part of his 2016 campaign. Malian troops, backed by foreign allies, launched a hunt for squads of soldiers listed as missing after one of the deadliest attacks in a 7-year-old jihadist insurgency. At least 25 troops were killed after militants aboard heavily armed vehicles raided 2 military camps of both Bokessi and Mondoro near the border with Burkina Faso. According to a provincial tour, 15 jihadists were killed in the raids, according to government figures, which began early Monday and were queried more than a day later. Around 60 soldiers were listed as missing, 78 according to a security source. The Malian army said 11 had returned to their base. It is unknown whether the others have been killed or captured. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta declared 3 days of national mourning, which began 3rd of October to end on the 5th, according to a government statement. U.S. President Donald Trump is facing an impeachment inquiry after urging Ukraine as well as China to investigate his political rival Joe Biden. He said both China and Ukraine should look into Mr. Biden, a Democratic presidential frontrunner, and his son, saying the Democrats accused Mr. Trump of dangling military aid as a way to press Ukraine to dig dirt on Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden responded by tweet, saying the idea of Donald Trump attacking anyone's integrity is a joke, saying a 25th July phone call between Mr. Trump and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky triggered an intelligence community whistleblower complaint and the impeachment inquiry. But Mr. Trump said that the inquiry, which could culminate into a congressional attempt to remove him from office, lacks context. And now to sports news. Nigeria forward Emmanuel Dennis has been named in the UEFA Champions League Team of the Week after his scintillating display in Club Brugge's 2-2 away draw against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Dennis bagged a brace in the first half of the thrilling encounter with Sergio Ramos and Brazilian midfielder Casemiro scoring 2 second-half goals to prevent Real Madrid from suffering an embarrassing defeat. The striker came close to netting a hat-trick in the game, but was denied by a fine save by Real's goalkeeper. Dennis is named in midfield alongside Bayern Munich Serge Gnabry, who scored 4 goals in the 7-2 thrashing of Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool's Mohamed Salah, and Van de Beek of Ajax Amsterdam. He has also been nominated for the UEFA Champions League Player of the Week award. Robert Lewandowski, who plays for Liverpool, and Liverpool's Roberto Firmino also made the team. So it's on that sports note that we'll draw the curtain on this edition of the News on the Hour. I want to thank you for watching. I am Zubechi Frank.